All right, so if you're a Christian or gospel-based player, or you just simply play in the church, then chances are you might be self-taught. Does this sound like you? Now, I know it's not everybody. Some of us had the privilege of having a teacher or somebody to show us something, but a good majority of us that play in church were self-taught. Well, I want to talk to you today because oftentimes, because we're self-taught, there's this thing where we run into, and it's not just self-taught musicians, it's also musicians who have been taught or trained by someone else. We run into this thing where we feel like we're playing the same thing over and over again. Or there's some things that we might already play that we don't know what they're called, and we're just kind of running out of ways to use them. Well, I want to deal with one of those things. What I just played was the minor pentatonic. Many of you guys have heard of it. Some of y'all call it pentatonic, y'all proper folks. I'm from the South, so we say pentatonic, right? So I want to show you multiple ways of using this and how to stop playing the same thing. Or is it we're not playing the same thing, or is it we're finding other ways to play it where it doesn't sound like the same thing? So I'm going to show you that today, so stay tuned. All right, so jumping right into this lesson, this is going to be a really, really good one now. If anybody knows this sound, you know the pentatonic sound. This is like an A minor pentatonic right here. Right? Again, pentatonic, as I said in my last video, is consistent of 5 notes. I usually go down and grab the octave, so it sounds like 6 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the pentatonic scale, though. We typically grab the octave just to finish it off again. Right? So with this particular scale that we're doing today, I'm going to show you guys something that I did in the last video just to kick this off, because I want to draw similarities between the major and the minor pentatonic. Again, this lesson is about the minor pentatonic, but I want to draw the similarities between the major and the minor pentatonic. I don't know if you've heard this before, so if you have heard this before, just don't say nothing yet. Let the new people who haven't heard this trick, so to speak, let them hear it first, then we'll talk about it, we'll get into it. All right, so for my first point, I want to start by saying recognize the similarities. First and foremost, recognize the similarities between the major and the minor pentatonic. Now, here's why I say this. This is what I played on last week with C major pentatonic. I showed you how to cover the whole fretboard with C major pentatonic. Check it out. Right? And that was me covering the whole fretboard with C major pentatonic. Now, this is A minor pentatonic, and I'm going to cover the entire fretboard with it. Now, check this out. Now, you might not have noticed it being much of a difference until I got to the last note. Now, if I play it descending, doing almost the same thing, it'll make a lot more sense. And it's about how you start and how you stop. Really, it's about how you stop. All right, so here's what I mean. Now, did you hear it? Now, these two scales sound very similar, and they should, because they're like cousins. There's something that I've talked about in my monthly membership lessons, relative major and minor and all this kind of stuff. So basically, if we're talking A minor, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's not what this lesson is about, but if we're talking A minor, basically a majority of all the same properties that make A minor are also in C major. So I can interchange these two scales. And once we recognize the fact that all the things that we have in C major is available to us in A minor, then it opens up our world to things that we can use. So now we can break out of that box of every time we go. I'm playing the same lick over and over again, or something similar to the same thing over and over again, because if I haven't really truly explored the minor pentatonic, I think I'm stuck in this box. Oh, but wait, I know y'all might be like, well, I know more stuff. I can go down here. Yeah, that's cool. And that sounds good. I mean, I love the sound of the minor pentatonic. But what else can we do with it? So if I know I can break out of that box and I can use elements also from the C major scale. So now instead of okay, that's great. So what else can we do with it? So now we open up way more options. We're using variations of the same scale, but our starting and stopping point is different because now I'm not only thinking in this block of only A minor. Now here's the thing. I don't want to lose anybody. All of this that I'm playing is still A minor. But when I understand A minor is related to C major, it opens up my options. Once we recognize that all of this stuff, it's all related, it's all the same. Now you're not stuck in this same block. You have so many more ideas that you can pull from. So yes, that does mean almost everything we can play in C major, we can also play in A minor. It's just the starting and stopping points that make it different. All right, so really quick, have you ever spent too much time searching for videos on YouTube trying to figure out how to play a certain thing only to waste your time 30 minutes in the search bar to go through 15-20 minutes of a video, and it's not what you need? Many of you guys who follow me and you know about me, I make tracks for you to play and jam along to, and I also make these jam tracks, gospel jam tracks, on my site available for purchase. But today I want to give you something for free just for watching this video. I want to give you a dope jam track for you to work out to. Also, I want to give you the actual sheet music and the tab that goes along with it, in addition to the video lesson to break down exactly what I did in the track that you're hearing me play. So you'll hear all of that stuff, and I want to make it available to you because I know it's going to be super valuable for you in your practice time. All you got to do is simply click the link at the end of this video, or you can find a link in the description, or it might be up here on the screen somewhere. So be sure to claim your free bass lesson as well as your tracks and your sheet music so you can continue to grow and unlock your sound. All right, peace. All right, so for the second point, I want you to remember what it sounds like. All right, so yes, they share the same properties when we're talking about major and minor pentatonic, but you have to remember the difference in the sound, because if you're not familiar with what each one of them sound like distinctly, then you'll think you're playing one when you're actually playing the other. So the minor pentatonic has a very distinct sound. If we go back to the major pentatonic, the example that I gave you guys last week to remember what it sounds like was like the My Girl, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, right? That's your major pentatonic. But this week, again, we're dealing with the minor, so you have more of the 1 minor third, 4, 5, flat 7. To me, I like to describe that sound as a more aggressive kind of sound. We can associate it in musical terms with like more of a dominant type of a sound with that flat 7, with that minor third. So we have a really a lot of us as bass players, it's one of our go-to thing when we start thumping or plucking or try to take a solo. We immediately, the bass check that we do when we walk into a music store. So like in the context of church, where would you use the minor pentatonic? That would be the something that you would probably hear in like a shout groove or something that's really what we call churchy. You hear folks like, I'm in the key of E, by the way. Like what we call preacher chords and that kind of stuff. We got a lot of names for this stuff in church, especially in the black church. You know, that so all of these things are not, like everything I played wasn't all. There was a couple of notes in there that wasn't all necessarily considered the minor pentatonic, but it's all derived, so to speak, from that. And so once we start understanding how many things that we have in that minor pentatonic and how far we can step outside of the lines of that, but it all starts from being able to know what it sounds like. Again, we go back to A. The thing that makes it really, really distinct is that minor, that flat 7 and that minor third. Right? And so the different things that we can do with that. Now, what can we do to start making this sound different? The promise that I guaranteed earlier. The things that we can do apart from, and I've already been teaching you guys this, by using elements from the C major scale, in addition to using the same thing that you've been playing with the A minor pentatonic or the C major pentatonic rather, we can use elements and start incorporating, making patterns, so to speak. Right? I know that was a lot, but all I'm doing is I'm just repeating. I'm creating my own patterns. It's not the same every time. I'll show you the concept of what I'm doing so you can take it and create your own pattern. But all I'm going here, I'm taking just the pentatonic and repeating. Right? The same idea that I took with the major pentatonic. Again, I'm taking that 1, 3, 4, 5. Then I come back to my second note. That like it's like a repeating pattern. And I know I'm flipping it, but that's the point. I'm not playing it the same way every time. Now, here's why I'm not playing the exact same thing every time. I'm trying to simplify it right now in terms of teaching, trying to keep a consistent pattern. But usually when I'm playing it, I'm not trying to make it consistent unless I'm trying to land it a certain way. And here's why, again, I'm not trying to make it consistent because I don't want you to get bored with what I'm playing. I don't want you to be able to predict what I'm going to do next. You might have an idea, but I want to be careful how I say this. I'm not trying to trick people while I'm playing, but I want to make it musical. But when it's improvisation, should I say, when we're doing more improvisation, it has just an unpredictable type of flow to it. It's going to go along with the music or the melody, but it's going to have an unpredictable element with it. And so that's why I go against the grain somewhat with it. And I add little stuff in it that flips it or make it a little different instead of going. That's a lot of great notes, but it doesn't have that same oomph to it as something like. You know, so all that type of stuff, it's coming from the same scale. It's just the way that I'm putting it together. I'm playing it fast because I've gotten used to kind of skating across this stuff. I'm going to tell you one player outside of gospel, but don't worry, the music is safe. You can listen to it. The Yellow Jackets. If you go back to the old Yellow Jackets stuff, like for instance, if you go back to the Yellow Jackets Four Corners record, that's a great record to hear Jimmy Haslip, like Haslip. Jimmy Haslip really does something amazing with the minor pentatonic scales when you hear him use it. And I was very inspired by listening to him many years ago, hearing the way that he kind of navigated using the major and the minor pentatonic, more so the minor pentatonic, and different places that he used that pentatonic scale. For my last point, incorporate it into what you play. Now, of course, we know the obvious places where to use the minor pentatonic, and just using it over the one in a minor groove or a dominant sound. We know to use it there, but where do we use it like in a major song? So if we have, again, you're going back to that relative major, minor, that whole thing. So if we're in the key of C major, right? Well, we know that a minor pentatonic shows up over the 6 because that's simply the 6, right? So that's a good place where we can start. If we haven't already been incorporating it, we can use it there. If I was in the key of C and I played a groove, the 1 to the 6, 2 to the 5, back to the 1. So if that's our groove, then we know for sure we can play that A minor pentatonic over that 6. So to lead back to that 2. But is there anywhere else that we can play that minor pentatonic? Let's explore it. Right? I use it over the 2 as well. I use the minor pentatonic over 2. Right? And a good way we can get out of it is adding one extra note after that minor third. We plug in the 2. Because remember, we're not boxed in to only the notes of the pentatonic, but we can use that shape or a variation of that to get us where we want to go. So 1, 6, 2, 5. So again, so that's all I did. Or we can take a variation of that. They don't have to be as long. So 1, 6, 2. See? You see what I did there? Yes, it's pretty much the minor scale in a sense. But I can leave out that 2. And there's other things I can do with it. But the thing is, once you learn what it sounds like, begin to incorporate that in your plan. And again, nobody's sitting there grading you. You play one extra note. That's not the pentatonic anymore. No, nobody cares. I'm just being honest with y'all. Sometimes we think when we learn these things, we have to play them verbatim to what you learn them. The exploration part, or when you start coming up with the new ideas, is when you kind of color outside of the lines. So you hear me there when I played that too. Like playing that 9 in there, Like I start playing outside of the lines and I start coming up with way more stuff. And again, we can go in a whole nother lesson with this stuff. But once you start coloring outside of the lines, the biggest thing, if you recognize the similarities in the major and the minor pentatonic. You recognize what the minor pentatonic sounds like. Now you incorporate it in what you do, and you color outside of the lines. You're gonna come up with some stuff that's way more interesting than the things you've been playing. So I'll stop here because I can go and go and go on this particular topic because it's so loaded, so power packed with so many different things we can do. But again, I'll stop here today. I hope that this has been helpful to you. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, do me a huge favor. Subscribe, hit that like button, and share it with somebody that you think this lesson would be helpful for, because this is the point. This is why I'm here. I want to help you. I want to help you to grow. I want to help you to be confident when you pull that bass out on Sunday mornings or whenever you play. I want you to be confident in the things that you play and know how to deliver and enjoy it. Enjoy the process. And if you're not getting it yet, slow it down. Take it to the metronome, as I always say. Do your little speed exercises and you'll get there. Eventually, don't lose hope. You're growing, you just can't see it yet, right? So anyway, guys, stay encouraged, keep practicing, and keep putting that time in. It's gonna get better. You're gonna hear it more and more clearly. If you want more content from me, be sure to check out JermaineMorgan.net as well, where I have tons of lessons to help you in this type of thing. All right, I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.